Good morning, everyone. My colleagues, Erin, Kerri and I are going to present information regarding curriculum integration and the range of learning approaches that can be utilised within this method of teaching. Our aim is to expand your knowledge and help clarify your understanding of the three broad categories of Fogarty's continuum of integration. This will include interdisciplinary, working within subject areas, multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, working between subject areas, and transdisciplinary, working beyond subject areas. An explanation and evaluation of the models of integration that fall within the three bands will look at the theories that support the models and how applicable the models are in today's curriculum in light of contemporary 21st century learning and pedagogy. I will start by explaining the interdisciplinary approach, which can be portrayed within three different models, including fragmented, connected, and nested. Today, I will be providing further detail on the connected model. The connected model involves learning from within individual subjects and works to connect concepts from one topic to another. While disciplines remain separate, clear connections are created within each subject area, relating one concept or skill to the next. For example, this could include a connection in mathematics between the information that was learned in the previous term to the information that is currently being taught in the same subject, or could involve converting fractions to decimals and then relating these concepts to money. In fact, an example of the connected approach to integration can be viewed within the Australian curriculum. For instance, in Year 5, science incorporates three interrelated strands: science understanding, science as a human endeavour, and science inquiry skills. These three strands have themselves been integrated to develop the overall science learning program for this year level. When teaching science, an educator may elect to study the proposed biological science content through practical experimentation that relates to natural phenomena, which in turn would integrate the three strands of science within one unit of learning. The fundamental key of the connected model teaches to explicitly connect ideas from within disciplines, rather than simply assuming that students will spontaneously understand the links that are being formed between each topic of learning. As such, teaching strategies involving the guided learning techniques of behaviourism would be appropriate within this model. Behaviourism is concerned with observing and managing the behaviours of students through associations developed by conditioning in order to encourage learning. This involves providing students with the appropriate content and guiding them to achieve an accurate response, while shaping desired behaviour through positive reinforcement. This learning theory can be associated with the connected model, as the teacher is scaffolding the child through explicit teaching strategies so as to relate one topic of learning to another within a shared subject. By relating topics within a subject, students achieve a greater understanding of the material that is being taught. These links can work to create a different level of perception, for when there is an obvious connection between areas of learning, the subject matter becomes richer and more relevant. As with all approaches to integrated studies, teaching strategies are most effective when applied in relation to meaningful concepts that reflect real-life experiences. In mathematics, for example, the teacher could create a connection between decimals and measurement, or further develop an understanding of addition and subtraction by relating these methods to saving and spending money. A criticism of the explicit teaching and guided learning approach to teaching, however, involves the lack of social interaction amongst peers. Proficiencies relating to collaboration and problem solving are skills that are becoming increasingly essential in today's society. Whilst the interdisciplinary approach to integrated learning is beneficial in increasing knowledge and understanding within single subjects, there is additional potential in working between and beyond subject areas. Kerri will now continue by exploring the multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach to curriculum integration.
So you've already heard about the interdisciplinary model of curriculum planning and integration. However, I wanted to go into a more multidisciplinary approach to integration of curriculum, namely another one of Fogarty's 10 ways to integrate curriculum, his webbed approach to curriculum design. The webbed model approach relies upon integration occurring across several disciplines, rather than the single approach you just heard about. We do this to some degree already when we look at, for example, humanities, whereby we taught democracy, and in art class, the students made banners and posters that the students then used in their mock demonstrations. Wiggins 2001 in fact states that the webbed model of thematic teaching is in fact the most commonly used model of integration as it uses themes. This central theme, and it is important to note that it's a theme and not a question like inquiry-based approaches, where the students can follow their own line of thought to delve deeper into what interests them. It is also worth noting that this thematic instruction contrasts other inquiry models as the process is deductive rather than inductive. To truly integrate the curriculum areas via this web model, this central theme or idea is weaved into many curriculum areas in order for critical thinking and deeper connections to learning can occur. This is supported by Mason's 1996 study, which shows that this curriculum design model allows for information to be more relevant to the students, as well as also allowing the students to form relationships between the disciplines via constructivism, thus transferring skills and knowledge learnt. The underlying and collaboratively constructed theme is then transferred across subjects and used to teach from their perspective of their own subject area. In comparison with the connected model, where traditional teaching is grounded in separate disciplines, can be viewed as fragmented and disconnected, with students moving haphazardly from one class and or subject to another, with the only connection being within the subject area itself, thus also learning via the behaviourist method. You know the old saying, children are empty vessels ready to be filled up with knowledge, teacher-centred instead of child-centred. In saying this, a limitation also comes to mind, whereby the benefits of personalising information may not occur if the central theme presented doesn't in fact interest them. Gordon also makes mention that in the past, constructivism does not occur if topics have been selected at random with little or no connections with their students, and their links between subjects areas have been weak or vague. An example of what the webbed model looks like in the classroom would be, for example, having a central theme of machines, which is shown to be of great benefit as per the study by Demir and Semaloglu. Machines do not just need to be taught in science and technology by understanding how they work. It can be webbed into English by reading and writing about great inventors of machines. It can be webbed into the humanities, which can incorporate work regarding how machines have changed over time. Math can use this theme to solve mathematical equations relating to force, or even charting or graphing data. Music can incorporate how machines have changed the lives of musicians. Machines can be webbed into the art lesson to sculpt or even create their own inventions. The list is endless. This school-wide approach to curriculum is reflected in the Australian curriculum's learning areas by teaching learners how interconnected the world is. And as the theme is student-centred, content is personalised, allowing for greater content knowledge retention, thus developing their critical and creative thinking, mirroring the AC's general capabilities. Contrastingly, it is still important to note in the AC that knowledge and skills can still be explicitly taught in particular subject areas via behaviourism, for example, mathematics, learning measurement. However, by using the webbed model, the AC states that measurement can be reinforced across other curriculum areas via a learning continuum. I understand that this model does commit a lot of time to planning than that of the connected model, and as Schumacher concurs, can be a limitation when planning consists formally or informally with not only your year level team, but with specialists as well. Time, it's as rare as hen's teeth, am I right? Contrastingly though, Gordon has an interesting take on time by adding that it can actually assist teachers to develop a more efficient means of gathering and organising information. Imagine not doing a standalone lesson on each subject area in your classrooms, but rather amalgamating lessons and their content to support your chosen theme. Your current timetable shows a math time slot followed by a writing time slot. But as Gordon further purports, lessons can be grouped and larger blocks of time can be allocated as connections have been made between content areas. As you can appreciate the increased curriculum demands on schools, there is a need for a more personalised learning in order for 21st century skills to be learnt and transferred into their lives in order for them to become more informed and involved citizens. This webbed model of integration, as you can see, stems from Vygotsky's notions of children learning from a more knowledgeable other via their zone of proximal development. Therefore, educators play an important role in the learning process. As stated previously, the webbed model is more deductive. Therefore, as the theme is already set for the students, the level of support is increased from that of the inquiry-based learning model, however, less than that of the connected model that you heard about earlier. Educators are seen as co-constructors who work together with students in order for them to construct knowledge, thus following the constructivist theory, which states that learning is social in origin, whereby children construct their knowledge by connecting experiences via observing others. We know as teachers that teaching and learning has evolved and is continually evolving, and research suggests that students need a curriculum whereby existing knowledge can be built upon and is meaningful to them, which can be transferred into lifelong understanding, hence the webbed model of designing curriculum.
Hello, my name is Erin, and you have seen what integration looks like within subjects with the connected model and across subjects with the web model. Now I'm going to talk you through the transdisciplinary approach to integration, which is at the end of Fogarty's integration continuum, and in particular, look at what is involved in the immerse model. So transdisciplinary means beyond subject areas, and immerse is the integration that happens within the learner. Bernstein explains transdisciplinary as transcending the established framework of traditional academic disciplines. The learning shifts from the disciplinary specific subject-driven activity, where the student is the receiver of information and the teacher is the all-knowledgeable deliverer, to a much more highly interactive practice where the student becomes a producer of new knowledge and the teacher becomes the interactive designer. The main idea is for students to explore a relevant real-world concept, issue, or problem by engaging them in a project-based explorations that integrate the perspectives of multiple disciplines in order to connect new knowledge and a deeper understanding of the world and real-life experiences. Although individual disciplines are valued and used to support the understanding of the issue, learning is not compartmentalised like the pots of paints in this picture. Rather, today's problems are increasingly complex and messy, like the bottom picture, and to solve them involves calling on disciplines that generally support and enrich their inquiry. According to Richards, transdisciplinary is about how students acquire knowledge needed to find answers to their questions. This brings us to the immerse model. Within the immerse model, the curriculum is viewed through a microscope. Sparked from the interest of the learner, all content is filtered through this lens of interest. Integration takes place within the learner. As they dig deeper into a field of interest, new pathways seem unending. A learner might say, "I am totally immersed in my work." An example would be a teacher facilitating the students to identify a problem or a project that is of interest to them, such as what is the impact of drought. Then everything is seen through the lens of the impact of drought. The project becomes the mechanism that connects all the other essential skills necessary for transdisciplinarity to function. The students then collaborate to work out what do they know, what do they need to know, how can they find out, how can they present the information, and then students take their learning in their own journey. They're immersed in their own interests, such as, say, koalas. A student may research how koalas are affected by the drought. Or one student may be interested in hydrology and look how water is used in irrigations and the water table and how this may be a solution. Or one student may find interest in knowing how Aboriginals are affected by the drought and their history and their culture towards water. And then the students may present their findings via the arts, the music, or use ICT to make a little documentary about their findings. John Dewey was a pioneer for curricular integration. He promoted a student-centered design curriculum for integration. He insisted that students should actively experience subject matter and engage in inquiry, emphasizing the importance of learning by doing. The subject matter of the curriculum should represent real-life situations and be both personally meaningful to the learner and the substance of society. According to Williams, Jury believed introducing too much academic content out of context with children bordered unethical teaching behaviour. This notion is vastly different to what is happening in today's classroom, with such strong emphasis on increasing academic achievement through implementing core standards. So why use the transdisciplinary immersed approach? What are the benefits? Well, it makes students the centre of learning. It connects learning to the real world. It expands students' knowledge and skills, which are seen as interconnected and interdependent. It empowers students to be and encourages learning to be active and a continuous journey that opens students' minds to see the world in different ways. It allows students to think creatively and critically and be curious about knowledge in the world, and it attempts to negotiate a very overcrowded curriculum. Furthermore, Richards informs that single areas of study are no longer adequate to meet the growing global education requirements of the 21st century. The key competencies within a transdisciplinary approach, as listed by Bernstein, are critical and creative thinking, communication, collaboration, information media and technology skills, as well as project-based curriculum. These competencies can be found within the Australia's curriculum's general capabilities, which have their origins in 21st century skills. Using these approaches, students are able to draw knowledge as required from the three dimensions of the Australian curriculum to solve their issue or problem. The limitations. Well, the immersed model can narrow the focus of the learner. Another limitation is that students need to be already educated in disciplinary perspectives for transdisciplinary to work. Therefore, it's limited to upper primary or secondary school. And assessment, according to Moss, is the Achilles heel of integrated curriculum. The transdisciplinary and immersed model is not new. Piaget, Dewey and others have been advocates for an integrated curriculum that pushes past the boundaries of single disciplines for quite a long time. In 2000, the New Basics project was trialled in over 50 schools in Queensland. It was a courageous attempt to abandon the traditional school subjects for task-orientated real-world learning. However, due to concern about what the children were learning and awareness about constructivism, a desire to improve the nation's performance on an international test, there became a momentum to introduce a more tightly controlled discipline-based Australian curriculum. Today's curriculum pays heed to the rhetoric of shaping the individual as the kind of person with the skills and dispositions required by the 21st century, and suggests implicitly that the general capabilities are the new basics. However, there are schools like the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program that focuses on the development of the whole child. Its framework is guided by 6 transdisciplinary themes that have global significance, and they have a real powerful emphasis on inquiry. This presentation has explored in detail the range of integration models within Fogarty's continuum of curriculum integration, beginning at the left end of the spectrum within subjects, intradisciplinary and the connected, to across subjects, the interdisciplinary, the webbed, and ending with the ultimate and most natural modes that integrate within the learner and beyond subject areas, transdisciplinary, the immersed model. These models provide a tool for teachers to assess what they are already doing in the classroom and how to best integrate the curriculum so that students can make valuable connections to their learning. Thank you.